Good morning, dear students. Myself, Sachin S. Pawar, Head of Department of Chemistry, JSS, University College, Belgaum, and I welcome you to my video on Unit 1 Solid States. Here, we are going to discuss electrical and magnetic properties of solids. So let us start electrical properties of solids. Now, what do you mean by electrical property? The property of the solid to conduct electricity is called the electrical property. And when I say electrical property, it is always measured in terms of conductivity. The electrical conductivity of solids usually ranges from 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power 7 per ohm per meter. We have three types of solids based on its electrical conductivity, and they are conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. As we already know from our previous classes, conductors are those which allow the passage of electricity through them. Semiconductors are those which allow the passage of electricity, but the amount of electricity passed is a very small amount. Whereas insulators are those which do not allow the passage of electricity through them. As far as the conductivity is concerned, for conductors, the conductivity ranges from 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 per ohm per meter. For semiconductors, it is 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4 per ohm per meter. While insulators, it is very small, and it is ranging from 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10. Based on who is carrying the current, conductors are basically of two kinds. One is called as metallic conductor, second is called as electrolytic conductors. In metallic conductors, the conduction of electricity occurs due to direct flow of electrons, while in electrolytic conductors, the electricity is conducted due to the flow of or the migration of positive or negative ions to the respective electrodes. The point to be noted here is metallic conductors can conduct electricity in solid state as well as in molten state, that is in liquid state. However, electrolytic conductors cannot conduct electricity in solid states, because in solid states the ions are perfectly packed at their lattice sites and they cannot move their sites. However, when these electrolytes are placed into the water or allowed to melt, the lattice sites are left out and the ions are free to move, and as a result the positive and negative ions can migrate easily to the respective electrodes and carry current. If we have to understand the conduction of electricity by conductors, insulators, and semiconductors, then we have to go for a theory called as band theory of metals, and that we shall see in the coming slides. We should know that the band theory of metal is based on molecular orbital theory, and if you just recall your PUC first year unit 4 chemical bonding, there you have already learnt what we known as molecular orbital theory. Here, if I consider band theory, according to this, several atomic orbitals of the atoms will mix together to form several molecular orbitals, and those molecular orbitals which are of close energy combine together to form a band. To explain this, I have taken an example here, a single atom which is having 3s and 3p orbital. Now, so such many atoms are there in the sample. So say 5 atoms are there in the sample. Now these 5 atoms have got 3s orbitals of same energy, 3p orbitals of same energy. Now these will overlap and form molecular orbitals. 3s and 3p molecular orbitals are formed. And now these 3s molecular orbitals, they are of equal energy, and hence they mix up together to form a band. I have shown this by a blue colored band. Similarly, a red colored band of 3p is formed by the combination of 3p molecular orbitals. Here, out of all such bands formed, band theory of metal is interested in only two types of bands. So the bands are formed one above the other, and so on, and the electrons are filled by those as per the electronic configuration. Now the outermost energy band, which is filled by electrons, is called as valence band, and immediately next to it there is a band, and that band is not filled by electrons, and that band is called as conduction band. There may be a gap between the valence band and the conduction band, and that the gap depends upon the type of the solid, and that gap is called as energy gap or forbidden gap. Now if you compare these bands for conductors, insulators and semiconductors, we can easily compare the conductivity property of these three types of solids. In conductors, as you can see on the extreme left hand side, the valence band is overlapped with conduction band. For insulators, there is a huge gap of energy between the valence band and the conduction band, whereas for semiconductors on the extreme right hand side, you see the gap between the valence band and the conduction band is very small. According to this band theory, if the electrons come into the conduction band, the solid can conduct electricity. As you can see in conductors, since valence band and the conduction band are overlapped, electrons from valence band can easily pass into the conduction band, and hence the conductor can conduct electricity very easily because the electrons available in the conduction band can migrate. In semiconductors on the extreme right hand side, you see the gap between the valence band and the conduction band is small, so some electrons can excite from valence band to the conduction band, and those electrons, when they migrate, they carry the current, and since the number of electrons in the conduction band in semiconductors are less, the conduction take place to a lesser extent. However, at the middle part, you see insulators, the gap between the valence band and the conduction band is so large that electrons from valence band cannot be excited to conduction band, and since there are no electrons in the conduction band in insulators, the insulator hardly conducts electricity. So let's start. Here the pure elements like silicon, germanium, etc., there the gap between the valence band and the conduction band is very small, and these are called as intrinsic semiconductors. For example, for silicon, the energy gap between valence band and the conduction band is 106 kilojoules per mole, and that for germanium it is 68 kilojoules per mole, and hence these possess low conductivity and hence behave as poor conductor of electricity. So question is, can we increase their conductivity? Answer is yes. If you want to increase the conductivity, these intrinsic semiconductors need to be carefully doped with some impurities. The process is called as doping, and the semiconductor so obtained by adding some impurity, that is by doping some impurity, is called as extensive semiconductor. Impurity added in the intrinsic semiconductors no doubt increase the conductivity, but it introduces an electronic defect, and thus extrinsic semiconductors possess electronic defects. What is actually the meaning of that, we shall see when we go for the details. Extrinsic semiconductors are of two types: N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductors. To understand these two semiconductors, let us consider an example of silicon. Silicon is a family member of carbon, therefore it is a tetravalent. It should form 4 bonds, as we can see in both the structures. Now in N-type semiconductor, one of the silicon atom is replaced by phosphorus. Please note, phosphorus is a pentavalent impurity, and here phosphorus, which is at the center, you can see it will form 4 bonds with the neighboring silicon. One more valency of the phosphorus remains as it is, and it will remain as an extra electron into the solid. While if you come to the p-type semiconductor, here I have replaced silicon by indium. Indium is a trivalent substance, therefore it can form only 3 bonds. So it can form bonds with 3 silicon atoms which are present nearby. But the 4th bond, if it forms on the silicon, it will acquire a positive charge, and that acts as a positive hole. So in n-type semiconductors there are free electrons available which are from the impurity phosphorus, and in p-type semiconductor there are positive holes which are due to the impurity indium. Thus, for n-type semiconductor, as you can see on the left hand side, group 14 elements, they are silicon, germanium and so on, doped with group 15 elements, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Here you see group 14 elements are having 4 valence electrons, and group 15 elements are having 5 valence electrons. So number of valence electrons in the impurity, that is group 15 elements, are more than the number of valence electrons in the intrinsic semiconductor, that is group 14 element. While on the right hand side, if you just see, group 14 elements are intrinsic semiconductors, that is silicon, germanium, which have got tetravalency, 4 valence electrons, and they are doped with group 13 elements, that is boron, aluminium, gallium, indium. And group 13 elements have got trivalency, that is there are 3 valence electrons in their outermost shell. So in p-type semiconductor you can see the impurity added has got less number of valence electrons than the parent group 14 element, that is the intrinsic semiconductor. Thus it is clear, for n-type semiconductor, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth can form 4 covalent bonds with 4 neighboring silicon and germanium, whereas in p-type semiconductor the impurities boron, aluminium, gallium, indium can form 3 covalent bonds with the neighboring silicon and germanium. Thus in n-type semiconductor, the 5th electron of the impurity phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth remains free, and this extra electron is delocalized and conduct electricity. While in p-type semiconductor the 4th bond cannot be formed, which creates an electron deficiency and known as electron hole or a positive hole, and this positive hole is responsible for conduction of electricity. Uses of semiconductor. The first use is it acts as a rectifier, that is it is the device used to convert an alternative current into direct current. This is basically a diode, which is a combination of n and p type of semiconductors. Second one is transistor. Transistor is basically combination of 3 semiconductors where one semiconductor is sandwiched between the two. For example, if you take NPN semiconductor, the P semiconductor is sandwiched between 2 N semiconductors. The use of this is to detect or amplify the radio or audio signals. Third one is solar cell. It is the cell which converts the light energy into electrical energy. This is a photodiode. This completes the electrical properties of solids. In my next video, I will discuss magnetic properties of solids. Thank you.